what's the best loadout, and what drop spot should you pick, and how can you win this season. In this video, I'll be answering all these questions and make sure you are as prepared as possible for the new Simpson season. But before we get into it, I will be making a Q&A video where I'll be answering all your guys' questions. So if you want to be in one of my next videos, go on my Twitter community and you can ask as many questions as you want in there, and I'll pick some out for the next video. Let's talk about the format this season. Each win you get in the duo and squad cash cup finals, you make $100. For every win you get in the solo finals, you make $200. And I'll give you guys the ultimate guide how even you can win a game in all these game modes. Let's start out with the most important one, solos. The Solo Cash Cup Opens is played across 2 separate days. The top 1,000 players with the most points across both days qualifies to the finals. Both days are 3 hours long and the point system is 60 points for each win and 2 points for each elimination. So this makes it a placement format. I'm going to build you guys a bulletproof game plan that will give you guys the best odds to make earnings. Most pros always start out keying in their first game. This puts them ahead if they succeed. But if you don't have a lot of experience, don't do this. This could ruin a whole tournament. But if you're confident that you can succeed W keying, one of the best spots you can land in is Springfield Town Square. Let me explain why. This spot is most likely conned by many players since the Jebida's head medallion is here. And because of the positioning of the POI being in the center, I would recommend you not picking up the Jebida's head medallion, since this will give away your positioning on the map and make it harder for you to surprise players with a beam when you're W keying. Another great spot to W key from is Springfield Nuclear Power Plant. This spot is most likely going to be contested because of the slurps that you can get from the vault. Getting the slurp can be confusing, so let me make a quick tutorial for you guys. On the outside of the building right here, you can see there's a combination, but if you walk through this door and go into the building, when you go into this room, you can press the combination that you saw outside on the wall, and this will give you 2 slurps. This POI also has a steamy stack skyscraper that makes you fly very high, and since there's almost no movement on the map, it's one of the only places where you can travel very far very quickly. And of course this helps you get more eliminations. But if you're keying, there's still one more POI I would recommend. The Springfield Slurp Works. This spot has many slurp tanks and even a slurp truck. And this makes all spawn fights end quickly. And you also don't have to waste time healing. But the thing that makes this POI great for W keying is actually something that isn't in the POI. It's right outside it, over here. The tires. They can make you fly up like a geyser. And it also makes scouting your next opponent very easy and saves you a lot of time. Okay, so now we're done finding your drop spot if you decided to W key your first game. Most importantly, I wouldn't aim for more than 15 to 20 kills in your W key game, since there's only 80 players in the lobby now, so you don't want to take too many risks, because at the end of the day, placement points is what actually matters. Do not overcommit to any fight. Don't be scared to just disengage if the fight gets scuffed, because you can always just recover and fight again when you actually have loot. Let's talk about the serious games now. The high elo games. These are the ones you have to win. In these games, you have to take a less risk and stick to the game plan. If you aren't an experienced player, this is how your first game should look. Let's start out with your drop spot. When you pick a drop spot in this season, I would make sure they fit at least 2 of these criteria. The spot needs to either have 500 metal, fishing rod, and something most people don't really think about, the burger. The burger item is the best healing item under the slurp juice. You can carry up to 6 burgers. Each burger heals you for 30 shield and 10 whites, and they only take 1 second to pop. They also stack, so that means you can pop multiple burgers when you're low HP. So while you're regenerating HP, you can fight back, and this gives you a huge advantage in any fighting scenario. But I don't want to get into too much detail about which exact POI you should pick, since this will make it more contested. So use this information I've given you to carefully pick a spot that fits you. Let's talk about loadout. I would recommend your loadout to be striker AR, thunder shotgun, and then 2 healing items like minis and bigs, or burgers and chug chugs. And then your last slot should be blinky fishes. You can carry 3 blinky fishes in each slot, and this is one of the only movement items in the game. You can get this item by fishing. When you pop the blinky fish, you get the 0 dash effect for around 15 seconds. The only bad thing about this is that you do take fall damage. Be careful out there, guys. It's now time for the game plan. You land the POI you've picked, then you should farm up cap mats, get a fishing rod, and then move into the center zone. Here you should just box up and start fishing. You should stay in your box until you're forced to move into next zone. The endgame strategy is very simple. Each zone that pulls far that you can't reach on feet easily without wasting too many mats, you should pop a blinky fish and dash in. Then you should box up in an elevated layer and wait until next zone pull. When next zone is about to hit you, you then pop a blinky fish and dash into that zone. And again, elevate yourself on a higher layer. Elevating yourself on a higher layer makes your rotates easier and safer, since you won't have someone shooting you in your back. It also gives you great vision on your rotates and just makes them easier overall. When you get deep in endgame, you have to make sure you aren't second high, since this could get you griefed. So try to find a high layer that doesn't put too much attention on you. You should keep doing this until the last 2 movings. Now you should either look to take high ground or low ground. If high ground looks scuffed and you see an opportunity to either kill him or take it from him, you should go for it. So if you played the game great and nothing went wrong, you should have enough mats to finish the game off by just tarping on high ground and then claiming the victory royale and earning yourself 60 points plus kills. The only difference from high and low elo is that when you're playing low elo, I would recommend you take high ground 1 or 2 zones earlier, since in most low elo games you won't even make it far enough for last moving. That should cover everything that you need for solos, but if you have any specific questions about this, you should join my community on Twitter and I'll be answering you guys' questions. The next game mode I want to talk about is duos. Duos are very similar to solos, but also very different. So only one opens and the top 400 duos qualifies to the finals. Opens is only 2 hours long, so that means there's no space for flaws. Finals is 1 hour long, only 3 games, so the same as solos, but now it's only $100 each for each win. The point system is the same as solos, 60 points for each win and 2 points per elimination. So again, a placement heavy format. The loadout for the frag in the duo is strike AR, thunder shotgun, and then 2 healing items and 3 blinky fishes. And then the IGL should carry the Mr. Blasty pistol, but in the games that you don't need search, he can swap that out with the strike AR as well. And then the rest of the loadout should match the fragger, so 2 healing slots and 3 blinky fishes. So now that we have the loadout sorted, let's talk about POI. I won't overcomplicate everything, since you most likely have a good idea of what matters the most from earlier in the video. But in duos with picking a spot, you should look for a place with barrels, since healing this season isn't great compared to other seasons. So you want to try to save heals by using slurp barrels or slurp chucks so you can carry them yourself. Also, make sure there's enough metal for both of you, or at least make sure there's a spot nearby that you can get that. You've now picked your spot and you know what loadout to have. The next step is the game plan. The game plan is very similar to solos. Land your POI, farm cap mats, then find a fishing rod either in your POI or nearby. Now, the only thing you need to do is rotate to a lake where you can fish. Now you stay here and fish until the zone forces you to rotate again. The end game is almost the same as solos, but there is a difference. The difference is now you have to find refreshes, because you don't have as many mobility items as you did in solo. Instead of having 6 blinky fishes per player, now you only have 3. So you want to save your fishes as much as possible. And then when your mats run low, you now look for a refresh. You can either do this by pre-editing a team or trying to catch a player off guard. In this meta, it should be easier getting a refresh because of the lack of mobility. In duos, I would recommend taking high early in the game if you do have the mats. Taking high ground from a good team is very hard. So if you play high ground correctly, you'll be able to take it from second moving, if you have enough mats of course. If you don't have enough mats, you should look for a refresh, and after getting one, now you can consider looking for high ground. But if you aren't confident in taking high ground, don't worry, winning off low ground is also very easy this meta. Just make sure you take low ground either last moving or second last moving. Taking it earlier won't do you any good. If you use this game plan correctly, it will give you a much higher chance of qualifying for the duo finals, and also gives you great odds of making earnings. Now let's talk about squads. Squads is the same format as duos, opens is 2 hours long, and it's 60 points for winning. But now you only get 1 point for each elimination. So playing placement is very important. The top 200 squads qualify to the finals, and if you win a game there, you win $100 each. In squads, one of the most important things is finding the right teammates. You should make sure the vibes on the squad is great. Don't play with people you don't enjoy playing with. At the end of the day, it is an off season, so make sure you at least enjoy it. You should play with friends that are around your level that also wants to win. You can't find any teammates? Try to look for some in my Twitter community. This is a place where you'll find players who wants to get better and improve, and I would not be surprised if most of them are nice people. with good vibes, of course. Anyways, when we talk about squads, one of the most important things is your drop spot. You have to find a spot with enough loot for all of you on the squad. I would recommend cutting a good PY and then play endgame from there on. Don't be that team that goes into endgame without having cap mats and enough heals. If you don't have good loot going into endgame, you're setting yourself and your team up for failure. The whole game plan for every game mode is fishing, and it won't change here. Fishing in squads is even more important, since you need fishes for the whole squad. Every player in the squad should carry 3 blinky fishes each. You should use this rotation early in the endgame, because when you get later in the endgame, you should have enough mats to tarp the whole endgame. In squads, you cannot be greedy with your mats. You'll most likely have to full tarp most rotations, since you can't keep 4 players safe without making sure every angle is covered. I would recommend having 2 people in the front of the tarp to make sure no other teams cut them off, and then the 2 other players should stay in the back looking for refreshes. This should of course be the fraggers. In squads, taking high ground is only possible if you get a chop. If you can't get a chop, it's not possible to retake it. Of course, if they're really scuffed, it is, but most likely they'll be stacked. That means you should take high ground earlier in the endgame. You could take it first moving if you hold it correctly. If you take it any other ways, there's too many risks, and I would stay away from that. If you follow this guys exactly, I promise you, this season will feel easy. Don't overcomplicate things when you play. Just keep it simple and stick to the fundamentals. But after all is said and done, don't forget, this season is an off season. Don't burn yourself out and make sure you're having a great time with your friends. This does not mean that you shouldn't be staying consistent with your Fortnite and Codex routines, because doing your daily routines will keep you sharp and prepared for this season and the next one. If you need a high level routine used by many pros, even myself, you can visit aimproof.net and check out the mechanics and aim routine. I would personally really recommend these, since I've used these throughout my career myself. So even if you have one yourself, you could consider checking it out, because trust me, these routines covers everything you need to master the fundamentals. But before the video ends, if you believe that the video has had any use for you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. And also join my Twitter community if you want to stay updated with everything I do. And I'm always open to answer any questions you guys have. But thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.